Hey YouTube, my name is Pebs. I am the creator of Death's Doorstep, a 2D Metroidvania starring this mummy and this bear that you're looking at right now. It's a game I've been working on for about the last year. The art style's changed a lot as I've gotten better at pixel art. I'm doing the development and the pixel art by myself. I'm going to be getting my sister to be developing the audio and sound effects for it. Trying to make this the first video in a series of ongoing videos to form a devlog on YouTube. Prior to this, I'd been uploading a devlog onto itch.io. I don't really get a lot of chances to update it, so I'm hoping that maybe the video format will be a little bit more streamlined for me and save me some time, as well as just be able to show you off more of the actual development of the game. So yeah, for the first entry here, I'm probably going to focus on the actual level development and how I create a level editor. So to get started, I'm going to show you the current test room that I've been using. This room isn't actually a level, it's just kind of a room. I've been playing around with different art styles, little different level design. You can see up here is the scene view. If you're familiar with Unity, that's where I actually create the level. Down below is the game view, what is actually shown when you're playing the game. So I can, if I want to, completely scroll out of the zone here and then zoom out. But the game will still lock to the camera. That was due to a custom script that I wrote. The background will tile itself and the camera will lock itself between some set bounds that I've provided, which I can show you real quick because why not. So you can see here is the clamping script. It tells me the minimum X position. So right here, if I want to prevent this from happening, as you can see down below on the game view right here, you can see that I can just completely navigate out of obviously where I want the player to be able to see. So if I play that really quick and I just walk over this way, see that nobody wants to see that if they're actually playing the game. So I'm going to reduce that clamp. So I don't actually know what value that is, but let's say 0. No, okay, we want less than that. So let's reduce that until it's about where we like it. So there. So now the camera will clamp till about there, so it won't prevent. So now if I play, it'll prevent the camera from moving past that point. So this is just my test room. Right now it's not actually a level. It's where I've been playing around with different art styles, just getting the physics working right, getting the attack animations working right. As you can see, some of the attack animations are still kind of in a placeholder state. So I've done the first basic animation state. I want that to be a 2-hit combo. As you can see, the second hit is still just like a stick man. It works for now, but I don't know. I kind of like having all my pieces, or I guess you could say my ducks in a row, before actually like moving on to the next thing. So a lot of the animations for the attacks are placeholder right now. So yeah, moving back into the actual level editor. So the platforms themselves are done using sprite shapes, which is why you see the nice smooth curves. So if let's select this one, edit the spline shape. So instead of a tile set, which is, if you're familiar with tile maps, they're very square based. You specify the size and you just line them up together like you see here with the bushes. Those are all done in tile maps. The actual platforms themselves are using sprite shapes, which are adjustable. You still kind of create them like a tile map. The sprite sheet itself is squares as well. I can actually load that up right here in the no, not the project settings. Give me 1 second. So here we go. The shapes, so the edges. So you can see it still kind of has like a bit of that tile map shape to it, but the thing that I get to do is toss it into this editor. So based on the angle, it will change what shows up. So there's a wall, there's the top, and then the bottom is right there. And I can specify some edges. So when it hits like a corner or something like that, it will render, let's say, like right here. Oh, that's not even rendering right anyways. But there we go. That one is. So yeah, the edges and the corners will actually have like a specified tile that it'll use for those locations. So this lets me have some really smooth platforms. As you can see, I can kind of just create whatever I want, nice and smooth. And then I can just do that. And then if I want to, I can play. And just like that, it's walkable terrain. I don't really have to deal too much with it. So yeah, that's the gist of how it works. All the other layers are done via tile maps, except for these bramble vines in the background. Those are also using sprite shapes currently, which is why you see all the smooth curves and not really a whole lot of repetition except from the actual pattern on it. So let's try creating out just a little simple test room. So let's create a new scene. I'll just blow you through how I create a quick level. I'm not going to go through polishing this level or anything like that. I'm just going to do a quick mock-up. So first things first, I have some prefabs that I've created really quick, the common ones. So I have my game object, which is kind of not really a wrapper class for everything, but kind of lets me have some, I guess you could just say globally, not globally defined, but pretty much globally defined things. Something that a lot of the other game objects can tie into. Like if I need a reference to the camera, I can just hit the game object and it's storing that reference for me. Let's save this real quick. Let's call it Devlog. So just new scene just for the devlog. So obviously it's looking kind of naked right now. I got my game, I got my camera. Let's dump in a background because it's looking, well no, first let's dump in our player. So back to prefabs, characters, mummy. Alright, so we got our player. Let's set I have a script here that basically follows an object. So in this case I want to follow the mummy, obviously. So that's set. Clearly I'm not seeing the mummy show up in the game view yet. Let's figure out as to why. There we go. Alright, so he was just kind of off onto the side. Next, let's add some background. So let's go with the dead zone, which is the purpley background that we've seen. So this is basically just some tiled sprite renders. I have a script here called tiled that basically, using the camera, it will loop to fill it. So I just have to, once I insert it into the scene, I have to select the camera to loop. So as you can see, the game view there is now matching exactly what's there. So I don't want to see that. Where is the mummy? There we go. So as you can see, the camera's kind of moving alongside. It is currently stuck on a flat axis. So I can tweak that by going to the camera and basically giving the Y clamp an infinity value, because now it can move upwards to infinity but not downwards, so it'll still lock right there, but now upwards it'll just go and go and go and never end. And it's really convenient for placing objects, so because I can see exactly how it's going to show up in the game within the editor, which is really nice when setting up platforms as well as just background objects. So some of these errors are being thrown because the view object wasn't set. They're gone now. I set the view object, they're gone. It doesn't really matter. It's all good. So next, yeah, obviously if I play that, I'm just gonna immediately fall into obscurity, and we don't want that. So let's create a platform. In this case, we need to create 2D object, sprite shape. Let's give it dead zone, which is the sprite shape that goes with this background. So there you go. You can see how it's gonna look. Let's bring that down a little bit. Bring this edge. There, alright. So let's make this kind of just like a basic 2D side scroller, whatever, it's not a big deal. So let's limit that Y back down to 0. Even though I just changed that, I'm just doing it for the sake of showing it off right now. This does not have a collider on it, so let's update that. Need a polygon collider. So a nice thing about sprite shape is that as I edit this spline, it will update the collider as well, so I don't have to do more things. Like, it's all in one step. It makes it a lot easier on me. And then I have to set the colliding layer to a static obstacle. I am using a package called Kinematic 2D, which I can link to in the description. It's I was trying to run my own physics logic for a bit, but it kind of became a pain in the ass. So I switched over to using kinematic 2D. Basically means I'm not using Unity's built-in physics engine. I am using kinematic collisions, which involves a lot of raycasting logic. But it also means it simplifies what I need to deal with myself as far as disabling. Like, I don't want to be fighting the Unity physics engine myself. So yeah, as you can see here, I don't know why I'm not moving, but yeah, I'm in the room now. So obviously we don't want, as you can see, the mummy is kind of hovering around behind the actual terrain there, and that's kind of not what we want. Also, an arrow is being thrown. Maybe that's why I can't move, because that's also kind of a pain. So what's going on here? I don't know what that is, so I'm guessing that's probably not what it is. I'll figure that out in a little bit. First, let me deal with that sorting issue. So if I create a new little sorting window for me, I'm probably going to add some updates to this eventually in the future, but basically it lists all the game objects in the scene, and I can reorder the sorting of them. So this one, the sprite shape, is currently over glider, sketch, and whip hit, which are all part of the mummy game object. That's kind of what I want to clean up. I want to group all of the sub sprites of this object together so that they don't show up as 3 different things, because this list fills up really quickly and it's hard to parse through. But for now it works, and it keeps it a lot easier. So I can just drag that, and then if I play, you'll see that the mummy is now on top of the platform, which is exactly what I want. Oh, I know why I can't move. Alright, so let's open up Sublime real quick. So in my game, I have a different class that gets basically created for every single different scene. So in this case, I need the Devlog scene to fire off a new Devlog class. I'll just call it that. And then every single scene kind of has this thing that goes with it. So the test room here, as you can see, is just kind of a simple little stub. When the room begins, wait like half a second, and then just put the mummy into the standing state. By default, I have the mummy in a drone state, which is basically it does nothing. Like if I open up the drone state for the mummy, it's just an empty state. Nothing can happen. Standing state has a little bit more options. It has listeners for jump, left, right, down events. So yeah, like drone is nothing. That's why the scene is what actually deals with pulling the mummy out of the drone state. It's really convenient for doing little, I guess you could say like little story bits or just transitions between rooms. Like it basically, whatever script puts the mummy into the drone state basically knows that it has full control over the mummy once it's in that state, but it's also up to that script to pull the mummy out of the drone state. So it's an easy way to control an object from a different object, really. So yeah, let's create a new devlog. Not devlog. .cs. The devlog scene, and we'll just do the exact same thing as the test scene. No big deal. Actually, screw it. Let's just do the test scene. It's doing the exact same thing. I don't know why I would do a whole other file for that. From what I remember, that's all I need to do. So let's jump back to here. So now that should pull me into the standing state once the room begins for this new room. As you can see, I can move around, I can walk, I can run. Perfect. Camera's still fixed to basically being locked to this position, but there's also no more platforms that I can go through. That's no big deal. It's not the end of the world. We can add some new platforms and start playing around with it. So let's use sprite shape for what it's good for. It's really good at using these nice smooth splines that you can add. So that looks like a good base. Let's put the mummy back where he belongs, kind of just like in the corner. And then let's edit this spline to be smooth so I can add all these new nodes as I want. So let's like have it start there and there. And we'll drag the middle of the slope up, and we can like smooth it out a little bit, and then like that, just like a little slope. Give a continuous structure, makes it smoother basically, but in the process you also lose corners. So to actually have the corners show up, each node next to the corner has to be linear as opposed to continuous, which is what these two little dots are. So let's do the same over here. Make sure there's a linear node, and then that is still a linear node. Nope, that is not a linear node. So there we go. Let's make that a linear node. Same with this one. And then you got a nice little smooth path to run on there. Hopefully that's not too steep. It might be too steep, we'll see. No, oh, it's a little bit too steep on that side. On this side, he actually sticks to it. So this has basically effectively become a wall. But that's just due to the steepness of the slope. If I pulled this out a little bit, that would basically remedy that. The walls are decided based on basically the angle of the slope when the user hits it. So boom, there you go. It's a walkable terrain now. So this is really convenient for like adding variety to levels, because I don't know. I've made games previously in the past, and not having slopes isn't the end of the world, but at the same time, sometimes you just want them. So I decided to go for it and actually built one this time with slopes built in. All right, so let's just add a second platform and just kind of like shove it over here a little bit. Add a little gap and jump. So let's edit spline. Get rid of all these extra nodes. How do I delete this? I'm usually developing on my MacBook. This is actually the first time I've developed in Windows for a while. So I actually don't know what the button is or the keyboard shortcut to delete on Windows. I guess just delete. Okay, there we go. Not used to having a delete button. I guess that does make it a lot easier though. Alright. Cool. Alright, so let's just add a little jump, I guess. Just drag this, make this a little platform. That looks a little high. Let's bring this down a little bit. Boom. Alright, cool. And just like that, if I play that, you can see slowly making the creation. As you can see, slowly making the beginnings of a level. So I think I'm going to stop there for now. Actually, I guess I could show off tile maps real quick first. So something I did in the other room, honestly, I don't feel like going through and making a full tile map, but I can at least show you like kind of how I've inserted it as background layers. So let's open up that test scene. Yeah, save that. So let's just grab all these tile maps are tossed into a separate parent object. So let's copy that and just dump it in the other scene, honestly. Save me some time here. So if I go to the devlog room, and then let's just paste that in. So yeah, those are definitely not in a good position, but let's drag that parent object, and hey, look, that's a lot of clipping. Let's refresh that. Let's update some of these bushes. So I got bushes for the front layer, skulls for the front layer. That should be up front, so should that and that. Those should be back, and then these should be in front of these things. And then I think that's it. Alright, yeah, that's good enough. And as you can see, they're all just kind of sorted. Wow, they're still fighting. Why are they fighting? Not entirely sure. Either way, it's close enough. It gets the general idea across. So the sprites are actually, or the tile maps are actually done in like separate layers, so you can't really see the ground anymore. So that's not the greatest, but you can see they're just tile maps. They're layered behind. Some of them are at a different Z axis or Z index than the others. So if I jump to these tile, if I go skulls far, they're at Z 0.5, so they don't move. You can see they kind of have a parallax effect just because they're more in the distance as opposed to the backgrounds, which also has a parallax of 2, 1.5, 1, just based on the distance from the actual character. So yeah, that's basically all I'm going to show off for now. I'm trying to turn this into a maybe not weekly, but regular series. I can just show off different parts of the game's development as I work on it. No release date, if anybody's curious about that. It's way too early in development. I couldn't give you a perfect release date or anything like that. Any number I give you is just a random number thrown out of my head. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, let me know. If there's anything else you want to see or any questions you have, just ask me. Pretty active on Twitter. Feel free to comment on the video. I'm perfectly willing to describe anything that you're curious about. So, till next time, thanks for watching.